You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast for our final team preview before the 2023 Cricket World Cup. We'll be talking India, making some predictions, telling you why they're going to win the World Cup. It's going to be good. Do we have any final messages for the people listening and the people watching, Ross?
If you are interested in supporting the show, then you should go to patreon.com/the Cricket Pod and sign up for our Patreon. We have got a Discord channel that is off the chain, and we sent out a bunch of merchandise recently from Australia to Germany to the US and to Aberdeen. So if you are interested in signing up, then do so. We've got great coverage of this World Cup, and you will not be disappointed.
Cool. Right, we're going to talk India. They are captained by Rohit Sharma, coached, of course, by Rahul Dravid. That's an A team pair there. That's a big duo. The kit review, the all important kit review. So it's blue, which will stun you both. It says India in orange, and it's got the Indian colours on the shoulder. You could say they played it safe, and if you said that, you would be right. It's all business. Because they've got business to do. Personally, I think we talked about this quite a lot in our Australia preview. I like kits to have a little bit more flair, a little bit more like the mullet. Like, I don't mind a little bit of business, but you've got to have some
Papua New Guinea
as well. Yeah, no, that was too party. It was great, but that was, you can't be.
They were never going to win with that kit, were they?
No, that's true.
It was the kit that was the problem.
But if you're just happy to be at the dance in the first place, then I think you can go with that
the frilly dress
kit. Yeah, if you're trying to win it, you want to win it. You need a bit of business, don't you? But you also want a little bit of flair for the photos afterwards, so that you can, look fly.
You're saying India. So you're saying that India's like, you turn up in suits sometimes. You see some football teams turn up in suits. You're saying that they should have a ruffled shirt, so they've got a very.
They can have a
like
full
a
kit
pirate.
that looks like a tuxedo. You got a bow tie design on the
No, that's too much party. Black tie parties. That's black tie party, isn't it? Like,
New Zealand could do that. New Zealand could definitely.
Yeah, New Zealand could do that. That'd be good.
I'd quite like that. New Zealand should consider it. New Zealand, consider it Kiwis. India, bit too much business. The road to the World Cup. Well, they qualified automatically. So.
Fix. Don't want to fix.
Very well done there.
Conspiracy.
Technically, I think they finished 5th in the Super League, but it might have been a bit lower than that, depending on where Afghanistan ranked. Because there's 2 official rankings in the ODI Super League. I don't know why. Like, if you can go to 2 places and see 2 different things. They've been playing pretty good cricket. Good cricket. I don't know if you've noticed the whole of the internet telling everyone that they are currently number 1 ranked in tests, T20s, and ODIs, which sounds really impressive. And then you remember that they actually only started ranking ODI teams, I think, about 12 years ago. So it's not quite as impressive as it sounds. It sounds like, wow, in the whole history of cricket, this is the only time it's been done. But
and also T20 cricket's only been around for 20 years as well. So
and we also know how reliable the ICC rankings are. Or different things like Babar Azam should be still number 1 T20 batsman in the world, which is just fundamentally not true, is it? So,
what are you trying to say, Ross? You trying to shoot down India here? I'm not sure. The thing you need to take away, I mean, like, whichever way you want to slice it up, whether you look at recent form, rankings, whatever, just player quality, they're a pretty good team. So if you're new to cricket and someone says, "Oh, who do you fancy for the World Cup?" Say India, and they'll know that you're in the know, because that's what's happening here. The potential 11. I think this is what they're going to go with. They have a few options, and they could slice and dice, but it looks like they're going to line up with Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli, Shreyas Iyer in at number 4, King legend Rahul at number 5, Hardik Pandya 6, Jadeja at 7, and then a pretty long tail here. Bumrah, Siraj, Kuldeep, and Mohammad Shami, I think, will be the players they pick. I expect they'll rest and rotate a little as we go through the tournament. I can see Ishan Kishan getting games to share the wicket-keeping burden as an example. I can see Surya Kumar Yadav maybe coming in to give Hardik Pandya a rest here and there. But yeah, it'll be something like that. Obviously, Lord Shardul Thakur as well as the seam bowling.
Mate, he's going to be in the first 11. Don't even literally first game. Shardul Thakur is going to be right in there. Zero
could
doubt
happen.
in my mind. Zero doubt.
It could happen. It certainly could happen, couldn't it? Like it's not. It's the
king of the chop on. I've never seen a bloke get more chopped on wicket taking dismissals than Shardul Thakur.
They all count.
It's a skill. It's a skill.
Do you know what it says in the book? Bold, Shardul Thakur. It doesn't say.
They all count.
Batter thought this bowling was so easy they stopped watching. It says bold. Also,
who's this Laddu coming in to bowl against me?
I don't know how much we're going to talk about this, but there was quite a late change as well. Ravichandran Ashwin is in the team.
Ash.
Akshar Patel reasonably cruelly dropped, I think. I mean, it sort of didn't make sense. He was there. Yeah, he was injured, but I think it was an injury that he was going to recover from. Like it wasn't.
But he would have been a backup.
Terminal.
So what's the point?
He would have been a
maybe injured back.
Yeah, but Ashwin probably also will be a backup.
Yeah.
Maybe you want the off-spinning option, but then Kuldeep is a left-arm leg spinner, so it's spinning the ball the same way. It's you got that. I wouldn't worry too much about that. There's a lot of words that have been written about Ashwin coming into the side. I expect him to be fairly peripheral in the tournament.
Yeah. He should be, right? We talked about this, I think, before, and we said we got a little bit of guff. We got a little bit of hatred, I think, towards us, saying that Kuldeep Yadav should be the one. He's the aggressive option, right? The conservative option is Ashwin. Don't go down the conservative option.
I think they'll go with Kuldeep. Strengths. Well, here's the main thing that you need to know is that they're pretty strong everywhere. Versus the competition, most of these players are excellent, and it's quite hard to pick weaknesses. If you want to go through specific strengths, Rohit Sharma has still got the swag in ODIs, averaging 50 at a strike rate of 110 in the last 2 years. Shubman Gill has taken to ODI cricket like a duck to water, and obviously has that unreal IPL campaign from earlier in the year, putting him in a reasonably good position for World Cricketer of the Year. If he has a good World Cup, so that's a nice start. Middle order is good. It's lots of runs and lots of sort of not getting out. It's maybe not as sexy as England or South Africa, but it's quality. Nobody's arguing with the ability of Virat Kohli and King Legend. And then Hardik and Jadeja are a handy 6 and 7 too. So if you want to know the strengths, I've named all of the batters there. They're all pretty strong. Bowling.
Now you're going to name all the bowlers.
Yeah, and I think this might actually be one of the best bowling attacks in ODI cricket history. Like it's absolutely magical. Since the beginning of 2022, Siraj 54 wickets at 18, Kuldeep 45 at 19, Mohammad Shami 23 at 24, Hardik Pandya 22 at 22, Jasprit Bumrah 21 wickets at 19, and the last three have played about half the games of the top two. So
it's scary. It is properly scary, isn't it?
That's 5 bowlers with a bowling average below 25. Then Jadeja is the basically another frontline option as well. Averages 31 over that time, and even the backup Shardul Thakur has a bowling average of 27, I think. So it's bonkers. It's bonkers good. This bowling attack. I mean, when I said maybe one of the best ODI attacks of all time, I meant it. Like it's serious. Then you add on to that their team as a whole is in pretty good form. They've won more than 70% of their matches this year. It's looking good. Max, what do you think of the strengths? Are you awed by the strength? Tell me what strength you like the most.
There are a lot of them, aren't there? There are a lot of strengths. Yeah. I just think it's the quality they've got throughout, isn't it? You're talking about some of the other sides. We were talking about England and Australia earlier. Some of the things you'd point out. Maybe is it the fifth bowler? Is that where there's an issue? And people can target you with India. that is not something you can't look at. You can't take down one of the Indian frontline bowlers. Be like, here's someone we're going to target, because they're all phenomenal. And I think, you know, in the power play, they're going to be fierce, especially with Siraj in sort of some of the form he's in, and Bumrah back. They're a bit of a juggernaut, really. You sort of look at them, and it's just you're like, you are almost behind before you even start. You just look at it and you're like, where do we go here? How do we win this game? It's an impressive set of players.
Yeah. Do you want to hear some weaknesses, or Ross? Do you want to weigh in on strengths? Your choice.
Actually didn't even mention Mohammed Shami there, right? In the power play, the guy is so dangerous with that white ball. He gets it to sing more than most people.
Well, it's because he's not going to play, and they're going to pick Shardul Thakur.
I think well, come on, let's talk about weaknesses. I've got a weakness, I reckon.
Weaknesses, right? So I'm going to run through a few, and I'll preface this by saying they aren't really proper weaknesses. Like the team is too strong to have a thing where you say that's a problem. Here are some though. There is a bit of a tale. There are 4 guys who can't bat in the starting. In their best 11. The other guys can bat so well, don't think that's a massive problem. Jadeja, it's his weakest batting format. He's still probably the best number 7 in the world, but he is better as a number 7 in test matches. So there's you know, that Jadeja's weakness is ODIs, but yeah, it's not really a weakness, is it? Yeah. Trying a little bit harder here. The middle order, I would say, is probably not quite top tier. I mentioned earlier in the Pakistan segment that there were 15. I had a look at the top 15 averages for players in this tournament. India don't feature really. They have Shubman Gill, who, granted, is top, but after that, he's the only Indian player in the top 15, I think. So South Africa have got 3 players, Australia 2, England 2, Pakistan 4. Potentially that points to the possibility that you could pick up some wickets and run through them. And we actually saw Glenn Maxwell do that in a recent match. Also, you might say that some of these players, although you look at their strike rate overall and it's good, like they're all around 100. They're very good. A lot of them might not have a super high top gear, which in certain situations could potentially be a problem. So there's a few guys in this team. I'd say Virat, Shreyas Iyer, King Legend, and arguably even Hardik Pandya, and arguably even Jadeja, who aren't going to be ideal batters, or maybe don't have it in the locker in a 350 game. Now, how many games are you going to be in where that's a problem? Probably 0. Realistically over a World Cup, so it's probably not something you need to worry about. But again, looking at their most recent match, this was a thing. They got off to a flyer chasing 350 against Australia, and then tied themselves in knots. They just did not score quick enough through the middle overs. And is it a weakness? Yeah, it's a marginal one there. Finally, I'd say there is the possibility that selection errors could hurt them. So yeah, I'm really struggling for weaknesses. All of these are quite context specific. Like there's not like we did in South Africa match the other day, and we were like, Marco Jansen's bowling is a weakness here. Like he is not a great 5th bowler. That's a structural weakness South Africa have. India have weaknesses in a game where they need to get 350 because their all-time bowling unit went crazy for some reason. It's not, nobody's getting 350 against them, so I don't think we need to worry about it.
You're not looking at India saying this is a thing that makes them bad, or there's not like one specific thing about them that is bad. It's just a route to victory for another team, basically, rather than a weakness. It's a way you could beat them.
Ross, you had a weakness. What do you want to say?
So I think your last point there around selection is a really big one. And I think if you look at what got England to the 2019 World Cup, other than a bit of luck here and there, as no doubt people come back and say in the YouTube comments on this, was that consistency of selection going up to it. They took it really seriously, and the ODI cricket and the setup that they had. And you look at what Rahul Dravid's done over the last kind of 18 months, it's been a mixed bag, right? You've had completely like nobodies playing for India who are now nowhere even near this squad. And yeah, I think the quality of this lineup means that it will shine through. But I think there is a little bit sometimes of this lineup to veer on the side of cautiousness, to veer on the side of like being conservative because of the pressure that is there for India having to win this World Cup. And I think that has Rahul Dravid actually demonstrated that they have that, I don't know, the bottle, the ability to go and win big in this, and it's a massive test for this lineup. And again, probably not a weakness, but more of a like don't give the opposition any excuse. Don't give them that route to victory, as Max was talking about. And unfortunately for India, that we've got a coach and unfortunately a bit of a history over the last kind of 5 years or so that has left that door ajar because of poor decisions.
I have a genuine weakness.
Yes.
Narrative.
Talk to me.
The best team,
they've got narrative on the side.
Best team wins World Cup. That's no story. There's no narrative there. There are other.
What happened in the last one?
Yeah, it's not going to happen again, is it?
No, so we said narrative complete. Yeah. You're saying we've already season one. You can't repeat the same thing in season two.
Exactly.
He's saying narrative never strikes twice. Is what he's saying.
Both acceptable. Both acceptable interpretations.
Both acceptable narratives. Right. I've got one other thing that I'd like to say on India, and then we can talk about predictions and whether we think they actually will win the tournament. One thing I would say is that although the team is really good and looks really good, some of their recent stats, some of their stats overall, I would say, and some of India's recent form is compiled against teams who have been featuring players who are not talented enough to actually make it to this tournament. And I think there is an effect here because India's talent depth is so good on both sides of the ball with bat and ball that when they do play a replacement, that replacement is usually 95% of the ability of the main guy. Now it might be a scenario. Let's take Ishan Kishan maybe, where instead of Shubman Gill for one game, they open with Ishan Kishan. Now, clearly, Shubman Gill in this particular scenario is better than Ishan Kishan, but Ishan Kishan's still a great cricketer. Maybe a bad example because he's actually good enough to even be at the World Cup, but you kind of get the gist there. There are some teams where when they go to their reserve player, instead of it being 95% of the front line player, it's 70%. Mm-hmm. And India really romp through lots of bilateral series because of that effect. Because when they play a reserve or they rest somebody, they're bringing in another
Arshdeep Singh or compared to Siraj. No,
exactly, yeah. And in New Zealand's case, it's Blair Tickner or Scott Kugelheim instead of Trent Boult. Like there's a massive drop off versus quite a small drop off. And I think at a World Cup, when everybody features their best players, you'll see that India end up in some tighter games than history might say. And then people will say things like, oh, they're choking or they can't deal with the pressure. But actually, no, it's not really that. It's everyone else is playing their best players and their best players are pretty good. Like, even if they might not be quite as good as India's best, they're much closer than these scenarios where you get Scott Kugelheim in the team and stuff like that. Scott. So I do think that's the thing. And then obviously as well, and we'll talk predictions now, they do have to win top 2 knockout matches to win this World Cup. And the format of the tournament means that it probably won't be a fluky knockout match they have to win. It will be against a team that has been informed, that is really good, that has had an entire World Cup to warm up and sort themselves out. And that's going to be a challenge. I mean, like almost to the point where whoever makes the top 4, probably it's just going to be a shootout, isn't it? Or are India like still going to be favourites? Somebody make a point.
I agree. When it gets to the semi-finals, genuinely, it's a one-off game, and anything could go down. I think you'd say India for me. They're a side they've got a really high floor, and the ceiling is good, whereas England, for example, we're saying that their floor is probably quite a bit lower because it could all go horribly wrong, but their ceiling is huge. So there are ways where you end up in a game where they India could just get beaten, and there's not really anything they could do about it. That's a non-zero possibility. I think they're still, they'd still be favourites. I think whatever equity you'd have as the fourth semi-finalist, I would take and give to India, and then England and Australia would just be basically random chance. So maybe it's like 25, 25, 15, and 35.
Five.
Is that maths? Yeah,
something like that. That's maths. I mean, I think there's an argument for that. I mean, go on, Ross, go on.
No, I just think when it comes to India, it comes down. I think I've said it a couple of times for the England side and for this side. Like, do they have the minerals to actually win this tournament?
Minerals.
That is the big part for me of that. They absolutely bottled it in the 2019 game against New Zealand in the semi-final, and here they've got even more pressure. They're right, a home World Cup. They've got the best squad. They've got some of the best players that have ever played for India as well in this lineup. And it's just like, do they have what it takes to get this elusive trophy for them? Otherwise, this will be a wasted kind of generation of where they're.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, I think they are the favourites to win the World Cup. That doesn't necessarily mean I think they will win it. Probably, actually, that means that they won't win it because of this.
There's still a less than 50%
situation.
chance of them winning it, even if they're favourites.
I think they are the best team in the comp from what I can see. I would have said probably a month ago as well. I think they're trending in the right direction. I'd have said a month ago that they're the most likely team to make it to the semi-finals, but I think they wouldn't be the favourite for at least one of those matches. I'd have said that I think that England and Australia were ahead of them in a one-off game. I think it was just kind of a weird way of thinking about it, but I think India will crush. They're a crushing machine. They crush bad teams over and over and over again. Whereas England can turn up and be 50 for 5 against Sri Lanka. that could be a thing. But then England,
we tried everything for 6. It didn't go well.
England v India, because England have got the potential to be better, means I think they a month ago I'd have said they might be the favourites for that one-off match. Now I would say India are the favourites for both the semi-final and the final. As things stand right here, right now, I think that they'll probably almost certainly be there. And then I think they'll be 60-40 for both of those matches, which puts them in a fairly healthy position. Although if you do the maths on it, 60% of 60 is, not that much, 35% or something like that.
Yeah.
So
it's 35%. Told you.
Yeah, 6. So yeah, there we go. We both think the same thing. Spirit animal. I've gone for the Asian elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's an absolute juggernaut. It's the biggest animal in India.
What type of lion is that?
It's it's good. It's also interestingly, elephants have got a very long memory, haven't they? So it knows all about the previous failures of this team, this generation.
They're also kind of trophy shaped as well, elephants. So literally, you could lift it up by the ears.
I think that's the African elephant. I think that's the African elephant. Isn't the Asian elephant the one with small ears? You've never seen Dumbo?
I must admit,
you tell me, Jack. You're the one who's done there.
Yeah, I see lion, I see elephant. I just see one thing. I don't see
All right.
I see magpie.
Yeah, we've got magpies. Yeah, black and white bird.
These animal things are a bit complicated for me.
That's the end of our team previews for the Cricket World Cup. We will do one more show. I think we're going to do a draft show where we make predictions for winner, playoff contenders, top runs, top wickets, flop of the tournament, a bunch more stuff that we think we can squeeze in. We're going to try and line up Dan Weston for that if we can. I know he's going to be around for some of the World Cup for our coverage. We've also got other Dan Norcross, who said he'd dial in from India to be our man on the ground, and hopefully we get a little bit of other action as well. We've been speaking to some guests, so we should have some new voices, some interesting voices throughout the tournament. Do make sure you click like and subscribe, follow, whatever the button tells you to do. It's different wherever. And
when does it start? Is it next Thursday?
It's on Thursday.
England is the first game. So England versus New Zealand as an opener. That is that deliberate because it was the previous finalists? I don't think that's why it is. I mean, I always think with the World Cup, just as a point of order, the home nation should play the first match. Agreed.
But I guess India didn't fancy it.
They play on Sunday against Australia.
Yeah,
opening game.
I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't. But anyway, look, that's it. That's the end of the Cricket Podcast team previews. We've got one more preview show before the World Cup starts in earnest, and we're looking forward to it. So thank you very much for listening and watching. Goodbye and see you soon.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.